I just want to kick off the program. I want to just welcome everybody. I know we still have some people who will be joining us, but Alex is actually joining us from Korea. He's got work to do. So we are going to start our program. I just want to explain sort of why we thought to bring Alex here. It started with a conversation between Rabbi Lewis and myself, because our theme at Beth Tikva for Yom Kippur was the idea of moving from darkness of the past year and a half that's been, and moving into light. And we were trying to come up with a speaker who could speak to our teens and our congregants about goal setting and sort of moving from a really painful, difficult experience and finding joy and finding light. And while this conversation was happening, my family was actually very personally invested in a story we kept seeing on the news, which was about Alex Kopacz and his fight with COVID. We already had watched him win the gold medal in the Olympics. My husband was at Western Engineering with Alex, so seeing that he was doing better and recovering was just the inspiration we needed to get this program started. And we're so excited. I'm not going to speak much more because Alex is the speaker, but we're so excited to have him share his story with all of us. I encourage everyone to post questions in the chat at the end of Alex's talk. I will be
what did you do?
Moderating a Q&A. And I just want to say that if we have any teens joining us, please include in your question that you were a teen. I would love to give you the opportunity to speak to Alex directly. And Alex, I'm going to spotlight you, and I'm going to ask you to take it away.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ali. I really appreciate the opportunity, guys, to get to know everybody, to have a conversation here, and to share a little bit about the experiences I had in the last few years. I guess I'll start off with an attempt here. Shalom lakolem. Definitely had a really fun kind of last little while trying to get to understand Sukkot a little bit better. And I think there's a lot of really cool crossover from some of the themes you guys were talking about with Yom Kippur as well as Sukkot. So Alex Kopacz, 2018 Olympic gold medalist, and also a survivor of COVID, which I never thought was going to be a thing. One of the most amazing kind of transitions as I've gone from an athlete to now, surprisingly, a coach. That also kind of came up last minute. One thing I found is the constant growth is something that's very important to me. And so ever since the Olympics, I found achieving the gold medal. And actually, it's so funny that with Rabbi Grunland that we just had that little portion about the fruit tree bearing fruit. I found actually quite a lot of dissatisfaction upon winning the gold medal. And so the one thing that I think a lot of people forget is to focus on the journey. So why is that important? Of course, you guys probably covered this with some Torah study and things like this, but when I came down with COVID, I guess the biggest thing that it forced me to realize is that, have I enjoyed the journey enough? Have I done anything meaningful? Have I done anything to kind of help give back? Because we truly don't know the day when our last is, and when you're kind of surprised by it, it really kind of puts a whole lot into perspective with regards to how have I used my time wisely. So one of the things I found so interesting about Sukkot and the idea of using sukkahs is wanting to connect back with nature. Now that I'm out here in Korea, in Pyeongchang, we're in the mountains. And I've been able to actually go on our days off just for really long hikes. The last one is about 4 hours, and I'm just on my own, listening to some music and just enjoying just the vast rolling mountain in the distance. And it really makes you feel small. And something I found really interesting with regards to how you guys prepare this is trying to keep some opening so you can gaze at the stars and just realize just how small we really are in this universe. A lot of people, I think, these days really truly forget their place in the bigger picture, and potentially how insignificant some of us are as individuals in the grand scheme of things. In the last 2 years with COVID, I think we've all had quite a very eye-opening and challenging experience. I mean, globally speaking, there's been some awful things that have happened, but we've all bonded, I think, globally over this COVID issue and how polarizing it's been. And I think the biggest thing that it's brought to attention is that I think in general, we're very divided with regards to how we're trying to bond and buy into the future of our own, I wouldn't say necessarily survival. In some cases, yes, but COVID is just a piece of the bigger picture of things that we can't control. And giving into the idea that we are essentially at the whims and mercies of a greater power, I think is really good to meditate on. And something like Sukkot is a thing that everybody should try to do, whether or not they're Jewish or otherwise. Because forgetting our
just watching something online.
Is a really big.
So can I talk to you later?
Yeah, so being back here in Korea has been just incredible for so many reasons, because Korea changed my life 4 years ago. And now that I'm here again, seeing all the athletes, it brings back so many memories, so many feelings. I found myself more emotionally charged, and all of that is with respect to the fact that COVID almost took all of that away from me. So last year in April, I was actually coming back from a trip in Calgary for business developments, kind of hoping for the best. And at the time, of course, we were going through a series of kind of lockdowns and openings, and I was the last person to have ever imagined that COVID could have affected me. And being so healthy, young, you feel bulletproof, invincible. It was definitely a big shock as I started to get sick the first 6 days, and with each following day, it just progressively got worse and worse and worse and worse. I think it was around the evening of day 6 where I finally realized that I truly needed help. So I went to the hospital first time, sent me back with some self-diagnosing equipment, and then pretty much within not even 24 hours after that, my blood oxygen levels were so low, around 78%. I was encouraged to go back to the hospital immediately. Following that, I was put on, I was in the COVID ward in the hospitals in London there, and I was approached by one of the infectious disease team specialists, and they said, listen, you're headed for a really bad cytokine storm, shuts down your lungs, things like this. And that was the first time I think I realized that, the reality of our mortality and how truly essentially short time on this planet can be. And there was so many moments within that first 24-hour period of receiving that news. They had mentioned that the following day is when they could administer this experimental drug. So there's two things I had to decide. One, if I was to go ahead with the procedure, and two, they didn't know if it was going to work or not. We only had 3 months of successful kind of data to say that it's going to work. So I was just overwhelmed with old memories, childhood things popping up, songs my mom used to sing to me, the realization that I might have to say goodbye to people. So I slowly kind of just started chipping away at the list. Started with my parents, and then I started to my close friends, and then I progressed from there. There's actually one of my closer friends that live in Toronto that recommended that I speak to someone in the media. Someone they were close with at CBC, and I said, well, it's one of the last things I did that might give some kind of positive benefit to others. Then it's something that I should do. And it might sound very strange to a lot of you, but winning that gold medal in many ways felt kind of empty. So in my family, my mom's a nurse for over 35 plus years. And I've always been drawn to trying to give back to people, to groups, to help make people feel better. Like I say, nowadays, I feel like I'm serving a little bit more of that through coaching capacity. But in that hospital, sitting there thinking, I've done a lot of things for me, was pretty, I don't know, it was a shaking experience. And I truly hope no one's really gone through such a really intense period, because at 31, thinking that you might not pull through is kind of staggering. But so the next 2 days, the drug worked. They essentially shut down my immune system. I was able to slowly start bouncing back. But the whole recovery process lasted me easily 10 weeks. And during that time, I developed blood clots everywhere. And as I'm sure a lot of you know, blood clots are also quite fatal. So that was another kind of surprise that, you know, this disease just kept trying to take me down. But I haven't let it, and nor will I. Since then, I still have some symptoms. Long COVID and elements like that. But you never know how long something will take to leave your system when you catch. It could be an injury. I mean, I have injuries that have been nagging me now for years. But since then I've been out, I've had a lot of time to really consider my place amongst the stars. You know, the bigger picture and how small I am, and how much you know, nature around us affects us, and how much we truly need to take that for what it is, this beautiful gift that we've been given. And being out here literally amongst the mountains as often as I can, it's been a beautiful time to meditate and think about what can I do as a person to leave more of a lasting positive effect. And I think the biggest thing is, instead of just having that piece of fruit in my hand from the tree that I grew, it's to try and help other trees grow their own fruit, and in this case, the athletes. You know, my coach gave me this incredible opportunity to turn myself into an Olympic champion, and being able to pass on that teaching has been just truly meaningful. So I guess some of the biggest lessons that I've learned as an athlete that were helpful to me in COVID was this idea of being comfortable suffering. It might sound strange, but I mean, of course, training for anything is never comfortable, but there's quite a lot of pain that you have to endure. And during sickness or injuries and recoveries, trying to be comfortable through that pain can actually help you have a very positive and healthy outlook on your recovery in itself, as opposed to waiting specifically for a timeline and say, like, well, I'm not recovered yet, there's something wrong with me, but just getting comfortable with the healing process. And a lot of it kind of just all feeds into your own personal momentum. Caught up on some of the small issues, small pains, it can really take over your life. Post Olympics, I found myself struggling actually quite a lot with depression, chronic pain, a lot of this, and it's because I lost sight of the journey and some of the effects and the positive effects that it could have given other people, like inspiration and things like that, and truly being in an isolated state. Such as maybe some of you are. Some are probably taking it more literally, 7 days in the sukkah versus others. But when you have that time to be truly isolated from surrounding noise of the world, you have a really great time to get grounded and to try and really be grateful for the things that you have. Just seeing some comments popping up. Is there anything I can do to fix the audio? I'll try to get a little bit closer. Hopefully that helps some of the drifting. Yeah, so since then, actually, I've successfully got two of the Pfizer vaccines, and I'm happy to say that it's been great seeing some of the positive feedback from some of the you know, the influence on the communities, people changing their minds, families being convinced that maybe getting the vaccine is a good idea. But the biggest thing I think is that we all need to just take time to remember how important the group is in surviving together, whether it's a natural disaster, a pandemic, or any other such maladies that the world throws at us. And actually, I'd love to hear from some of you guys and some of your experiences during this period of Sukkot. What are some of the best things that you guys come from or learn from in these 7 days? Maybe Rabbi Grinland, since you're in such an awesome looking Sukkot, maybe get some of your feedback.
I mean, you started off exactly where I try to focus, which is the idea of just reconnecting to nature, our place within nature. You know, it's a temporary dwelling, the fact that so much of life is temporal, that the uncertainties, the level of trust that we all walk around with every single day, every single night when we go to sleep, that faith, trust that there is tomorrow. It's and to just kind of recognize that it is a journey, right? The whole symbolism of the Sukkah is that this is where we dwelt in Sukkot as we journeyed through the desert for 40 years. And it was about the journey, right? It was different stops along the journey at that point, and susceptible to the elements. And, we're all susceptible to the elements of life, be they COVID or whatever else might be out there, or pouring rain, which apparently is supposed to be coming down soon. It's, right.
I heard that it's apparently quite common during Sukkot. I'm sure different parts around the world have more or less rain, but that rain is actually quite a element with this festival.
Oh yeah, it's actually tied into it. There's right after Sukkot finishes, there's like the next day is technically another holiday, and on that other holiday we actually say a specific prayer for rain. The idea is we wait till after Sukkot so it doesn't come down during Sukkot, but regardless, the idea is that this season is a time where most people are packing up their lawn furniture and putting it inside, and we're taking this opportunity to kind of get out and say, you know what, I recognize I am susceptible to nature, I am part of nature, and so let me reconnect to that. And so the way you're saying, you go out into the mountains, and that walking and that kind of recognizing your place within the grandioseness of the cosmos, of godliness, what have you, of the world, and just to kind of recognize our place, and how that in a single moment is humbling, and at the same time it's all very, very inspiring. And I think
so. With regards to that inspiration, getting that feeling of awe and wonder is something that actually helped inspire me to take the Olympic journey in the first place. It was actually funny enough, while I was in undergrad with Evan, I actually had stopped sports completely for the first 2 years of university. Very kind of classic immigrant story. You have to, be educated. So you're allowed to be, an engineer, doctor, lawyer, dentist. I'm sure you guys have kind of had all the situations, or maybe encouraged some of your kids to go a similar road. But I've always been very drawn to the physical activity, whether it's working with my hands or sport. And funny enough, I think it was my third year of university, as we were just kind of getting pushed into, taking on more academic requirements, whether it's, doubling up with law school or business school or physics or what have you, sports came around again. And I crossed paths with an Olympian. His name's Jason Tunks. He's a distance thrower. And walked into his gym, and I just started doing a workout, and ended up beating some of his strength records when he was around my age. And he said, "Who are you?" I said, "Oh, I'm just a student, just here, just working out." And he said, "I think you have a lot more to offer." And it was such an amazing first moment that kind of cascaded the rest of everything, because it inspired me to see that there's more that I could offer. And within that first year, I took on track and field very seriously. I started throwing quite a lot. And then as I got better with my records with regards to my strength, my speed, my overall national ranking in track, I then had the opportunity to kind of race with the sprint teams here and there, just for fun. At the time, I was quite a large athlete, 280 pounds, and I was running very fast. I guess I might give you guys the numbers, but just to give context, it was fast enough to get people to try to push me into playing football and things like this. And someone kind of whispered in my ear, "Bobsled might be your thing." And at the time, we were getting close to 2013, 2014. And literally in that moment, I thought, I won't be able to have this opportunity again later. And from the first moment that someone saw me and thought that I had more to give, to the next moment where, you're never ready. And this is kind of another theme in the last year or 2 years, I'd say, for everyone really, that you're never ready for something to happen, whether it's a job offer or the love of your life crosses your path, or, COVID. But when the moment happens, hopefully you've prepared enough in your life to be able to manage the chaos that ensues. And in my case, it lined it up rather quite well with the end of undergrad, and I decided that I was going to strike out on this journey and see what happens. So the first process kind of took me to a testing camp in Hamilton. And then from there, they invited me to go to Calgary. And in Calgary, I essentially traveled there with a suitcase for 1 week. And I tested very well at the end of that week trial, where they showed you how to do the push technique, and here's how a bobsled looks and works. And then they said, if you'd like, you can stay and train with the Olympic team for the next, 3 to 4 weeks as we approach the national team testing. And so I was very excited at this point, because it seemed that I kept reaching each next target and each next goal, and it started to become very real, because it felt that I belonged there, not that I was, kind of in totally uncharted territory. It inspired me to keep pushing, to keep reaching that next, peak in the mountain. And then my first kind of disappointment happened as I did the Olympic trial. Did very well, but because of my lack of experience, they said, we can't take you on tour this season, but why don't you stick around for the next 4 years and we'll see how you develop. And so it was at that point where I thought, I know that I can do this. And the journey before me, it's too bad in Olympics, essentially it's always like these 4-year cycles. But the journey before me, the next 4 years, what can I do to give myself the best chances possible? So I did a full season, started to get very, very good, very comfortable with it. Any sport or any endeavor requires quite a lot of toughness. But I think I find what makes toughness easy is if you can find the fun in it. And so for me, no matter how much I got beat up, it was fun for me to see how in awe some other people be that I kept standing back up and wanting to go in, send me down first, and he wants to take the day off, I'll go again. It just kind of feeds into this really positive kind of attitude. So by the end of the first, I'd say, official year, I realized that I was missing quite a lot with regards to technique on running and all this stuff. So I started to search for my own coach. And after, I'd say I probably went through maybe 10 or 20 or so, a former head coach slipped me a little piece of paper and said, this man here is the best man for you. And turned to be my coach, Olaf Hampel, who was a 2-time gold medalist. All of that was unknown to me until the end of our first summer together. And it led me to not only traveling around the world, but I ended up living in Germany for a couple of years just to become better at my craft. And investing in yourself is a very scary process because you don't know the outcome. But just like not knowing if tomorrow is promised, if you are constantly caught up in the fear of the actions that you're taking now and how it leads you into tomorrow and the day after and the day after that, you really miss out on maximizing the opportunities you're given right this moment. And within the first year of training with Olaf, it became very clear that I was on a trajectory to be maybe one of the best brakemen, in Canada, to eventually one of the best and the best in the world in my craft. And being out there showed me that you can have a complete stranger show you such kindnesses. My coach took me into his family, and I became almost like a part of them. The uncle from Canada, and we're still very close even to this day. And because of that experience, I've been so drawn and motivated to want to make someone else feel the way that they made me feel. And then, as we approach the Olympics, so many injuries can happen. There was one that took me out for almost a full year, and that was a very trying time. Being injured when you're close to your peak, your strength is gone, your speed is gone, your confidence goes out the window, and that's also a very dark time. But once you come through that, the very first time you come through that, you realize that there is always a way back. There's always a way forward, and the things that happen to you don't need to define you for the rest of your life. And this was actually a really big piece that helped me quite a lot during my COVID recovery. And it's a hard lesson learned, but it has to be learned sort of firsthand because, before you get injured, you think you're bulletproof. Just like before you get sick, you think that sicknesses won't affect you because, statistically speaking, you're so safe. But I never, ever thought that I would win a gold medal. And for me, it would have been just amazing to go and represent my country, just to show, my family what they are capable of, considering we started from, very poor, small beginnings. But going to the Olympics was unbelievable. getting here for the first time, the sounds, the sights, the smells, the cold weather, being in a new country like this, and being on televised on a world stage was almost surreal. And as the rush of everything leads to the end of the first week, you're in the position where we have a chance to lose the medal because we were in the #1 spot. This is something that it's so hard to grasp, but the only thing you can do is just try to stay as relaxed and calm and comfortable as possible. And then on the day that we win it, we finish the race at 3 a.m, and then the whirlwind of media kind of takes you off. My parents were there live, which was unbelievable. I'm sure everyone can relate to seeing your dad cry really kind of hits you in a different spot. But all of that hard work had truly paid off. But the biggest piece that I enjoyed during that journey with the people that I met. And now being back in the coaching atmosphere, some of the reasons that I was even invited is because of the connections I met, because of how I treated people, how well they felt around me, and they could tell that the things that I did wasn't just to win for the sake of winning, but for the love of the competition. And I find it very, very interesting when certain athletes try to be enemies with other athletes, because it gives some kind of extra motivation. But at the end of the day, the only one you're competing with is yourself. And if you can do that and still respect the people around you, it makes the whole scenario so much more positive. And then so post Olympics, there was quite a lot of hype and excitement. And the thing that I never thought I would be dealing with was all the injuries, the pain, and it truly took me a better part of almost 2 years to recover from all of that. And once I got my legs back under me, COVID strikes for the first time. So then, job losses, another reinvention. What do we do now? I thought I could be an engineer, but I found it very difficult to be sitting at a desk just in front of a computer doing the same thing day in, day out. So then I took another chance, and I struck out on my own as an entrepreneur, reached out to an old friend of mine as a business partner. And then the journey began again. I had a new thing that excited me, that motivated me, that pushed me forward. And then with each lockdown, of course, there's other challenges. And then, of course, the biggest one of all was the shock and surprise of being so sick. And in the depths of seeing how quickly and easily you could lose all of that, remembering those good times, the only thing that really pops into your head. I mean, the biggest sadness I had is the fact that I hadn't had more opportunity to tell people how much they meant to me. How much they changed my life, and how much that I wish I could have repaid them in a more meaningful way. Because I think a lot of people end up getting so focused on, you have your own life, and then you have the immediate people around you, and they could be your friends, family, your kids. But all the things that shape us really truly come from strangers sometimes. In the case of my coach, in the case of a person at a gym who said, "Hey man, I think you could be an Olympian. I don't know if you knew that, but I think you've got what it takes." And all these small little moments, we truly can forget them with the chaos of day to day. We have so much, assault on our senses with news and social media and all of that, and the polarization of how the vaccines have affected everyone with regards to, should I still keep in touch with these people because they don't believe in it, or should I do this because I'm so scared? And I think it's very important for people to do something such as, this tradition of being in a sukkah, and to be isolated from all of that, and to look back and reflect, how did I get here? And now that I've gotten all this way, what were the best things that helped me get here? Now, how can I take those moments and pass that on to someone else to help spur them on to truly kind of get the most out of their lives? Because mine was changed by a comment. And if one comment can change your entire trajectory, wouldn't it be amazing to know that because you took a little bit extra time in your day, you changed someone else and helped them, move into a very positive direction to help bear fruit in their lives? Then they therefore can also help grow other fruit-bearing trees with other people, and so on and so forth. So I find now that unfortunately, because of this near-death experience, that I'm now able to see life as a little bit more vibrant, and to really try and kind of enjoy every moment. And getting this coaching position kind of short term, because I can't be away for a full year. It's like I feel for this team like they're part of my family now. And I don't know if I would have been able or as willing to make such a personal connection and investment into these people if it wasn't for the fact that, well, what if I never see them again? What if I, don't make it back home, et cetera, et cetera. Just in the moment, just to truly just kind of heart on the sleeve and just be completely present can bring some truly, truly, truly incredible experiences and positive effects for people around you. So hopefully I get to see these guys grow and win a medal of their own, because that would probably be the best thing possible. Give the country back something that gave me something incredible. But I do truly hope as you guys go through this festival that maybe take an extra moment just to reflect on how many people changed your lives and what they did to change it. What are some things that you wish you could tell them? Don't wait. Let them know. Tell the people you love that you love them. I find that I tell people more often that I love them just because. I don't think there's any point in waiting. And I think that a lot of people have a very combative approach to people that are not so willing to do something like a vaccine and things like this. But it's very hard to teach someone if you yell at them. And as a coach, that's very obvious. If you're yelling at athletes, there's fear, there's anger, there's resentment. But if we can all kind of approach education through love and curiosity, I think it's natural. It's the reason why when we look up at the stars, we have that moment of awe and wonder. I think it's impossible for anyone not to have that. It's such a vast, vast universe that we live in. And it's this very thing that makes us human. It's our beautiful curiosity. And I've actually truly enjoyed getting to know this festival because of how much it can help reinforce that year to year. I really think that people need to take more time and just look at how amazing everything that is around us and all the good things we have and how we can help other people feel that. Because losing it just makes living kind of tasteless, gray. So I guess I wish everybody to just take that moment to find out what is it that really shaped your lives. What strangers' comments, what friend, reach out to them, let them know what you're thinking, and hopefully you guys have an opportunity to change someone else's life like my coach changed mine.
Alex, I'm emotional listening to you. I'm having a moment, but someone asked a question, so I have to take a second and read it back to you and get my emotions together here. But I feel like I know the answer based on what you said, but have you had a chance to go back and thank the original person who said that you have potential to be an Olympian? And how did that conversation go for you?
Yeah, I have. I mean, if I'm honest, not to the level that it deserves. We got a chance. We crossed paths in person, and I did thank them for everything they had done, because it truly did inspire everything. My only regret is I haven't gone and made like a proper, sit down at the full evening to celebrate that moment. But the person didn't expect more, if that makes any sense. They were just so happy to have been a piece of that. But they knew how much it helped. They knew how much it meant, because just even a simple thank you, and I don't mean like via text, but like a chance to see someone in person, look them in the eyes and let them know, you can feel that. There's some weight behind the words you say. And sometimes I'm sure maybe many of you have had this experience where the intensity, just like trying to just the eye contact, sometimes you don't even need words, and you can just feel whether it's like love or pain or whatever. It's just there, and I just have just so much gratitude for that, and hopefully when I get back to Canada, I can find that moment to make it a little bit more personal and longer term. with regards to like my coach, I made a trip a year and a half ago, just see everybody again, bring the medal back, show my coach what he'd done for me, and hopefully carry on that tradition with some future athletes.
Amazing. I have a question that's going way back to the beginning of your story. What was your early life like? We've made jokes already that you're not Jewish, but you put in the research. We appreciate everything that you did to learn about Sukkot and bring this all back to the holiday for us. But we are getting questions about what was your early life like, and I know you are from London. Yes, but if you want to just sort of like expand on that, and just sort of what your upbringing was like,
Absolutely.
and did it inspire you? You mentioned that the Polish was very, very similar to Jewish. So you got to be a dentist or an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer. But how did your upbringing sort of inspire this really positive outlook that you have in your life?
Well, I'd say that I guess I'll let you guys make the similarities as you will, but a lot of Polish history is filled with a lot of war and hardships. We're geographically in a challenging spot. I'm sure you guys are also familiar with this, but it's something that was constantly reinforced. Every male on both sides of the family was involved in some of the wars, whether it was as a soldier fighting or in other darker scenarios. And so just it was just a constant reality and reminder. And because of the community such as it is in London, Ontario, every Sunday, I was raised, I guess, Roman Catholic. Not that it's not a really defining factor in my life, but after church on Sundays, we would go to the Polish hall and where all the old veterans and stuff, everyone get together and be almost like a weekly reminder. It wasn't for us to, I mean, it was there to thank them, but it wasn't like we were forced. It was just like, these are the things that happened, and those that are still alive would go up and they would share some stories, or they would just say some just some moments of gratitude and how happy they were to see the community kind of developing and just celebrating some of the cultural elements. We really like, I guess, funny enough, it's poetry in and of itself, but there's this big thing where it's like memorizing really long poems from famous Polish writers and stuff. It's like it was a very impressive thing to the older community back then. But there's a big weight on your health and safety is not guaranteed, and how do you push through it? So since I was a kid, I've always been motivated to do something that would kind of show respect to my ancestors. Now, negatively, I suppose, or I don't know, maybe it could have been positive in a different capacity, but I was hell-bent to join the military. I felt like that's what I had to do. No one asked me to, and my parents fought tooth and nail to stop me. But I was, in my mind, destined to do that. By the age of like 16, I was going to sign up and away I'd go and do my part in my war, so I can feel what they felt and understand their sacrifice more personally. Truly, I can't remember what pushed me away at the end of it all. I suppose in many ways it's probably a good thing, because who knows what I would have done. But building on what was built before you has always been in the back of my head. Even my dad's story, how he got to Canada, was extremely inspiring for me. He was, during the communist regime, fled. Some of his friends were killed during this escape, and led him to 4 years in a refugee camp in Austria. And then eventually he makes his way to Canada, and he built. I mean, of course, with my mom. I mean, notwithstanding, she was in Canada as a product of post-war immigration. But together, seeing how hard they fought to build a comfortable life for us, I feel it's impossible not, out of respect for the past, to try and build on that. And I just hope I can keep that tradition going, and I hope I can inspire my children to do something. And they don't have to be Olympians, they don't have to be engineers, but I hope they can just keep building on that platform. But I suppose in many ways I've always been an old soul, so not everyone's kind of different, but I've always been drawn to history and understanding and how that affects my choices.
I like that you casually say that your kids don't have to be Olympians, because it's so easy to just like, be picked up at the gym and be told that you're going to be an Olympian one day. No big deal.
But I guess just yeah, I mean, obviously it's a funny point, but something I think a lot of people get caught up in. Think of hockey parents. I know so many people that wish they could have gone further, so they push that onto their kids that now you're going to be the hockey player I never could have been. And it's so hard watching kids burn out at a young age. And I see it just from, athletes that were really good, let's say grade school into high school, and all of a sudden they just fall off the map and they're gone. They never do sport again. And I feel trying to help someone inspire themselves to pick that thing, that's not easy, but I would love to be able to inspire them to find a thing that they can build on. But anyways, life will do what it does, and so maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. I don't know.
You never know. You could be the beginning of like a prodigy family. But it's so funny. It might just be because I literally just read this to my son. We were just reading "Oh, the Places You Will Go," and the line that keeps.
That's a great book.
It's a great book. But the line that keeps going up in my head is sort of, as you're telling your story, is that bang-ups and hang-ups will happen to you. And it sounds like you've mentioned so many, you've changed career paths, you've faced injury and adversity, you had COVID. What is it that keeps you? I mean, you have spoken to sort of what motivates you, but the trajectory forward, have you had another aha moment to lead you to the next phase of your life? Because you said you are an entrepreneur now. What keeps you pushing to the next thing, and what's inspiring you?
I'd say there's two things that switch places quite a lot. There's one where I ask myself, what else can we do? What else is possible? Because if there is something more that we can do that's like as a self-growth or thing that it needs to be explored. Because I would hate to be in that situation again where here I am facing the end of my life and I look back and like, oh, if only I wish I tried harder or studied, whatever. I don't want to be in that position again. But the thing that replaces it in the moment, such as my spontaneous acceptance of this short-term contract with Korea, is usually people-driven. I am so drawn to helping people that I don't know. I mean, I guess if life turned out differently, I might have picked a completely different career path because it's it feels right, and I don't know if many people kind of, it doesn't have to be like you don't have to feel that way about helping other people. That's okay, but when you find something that really kind of just makes you feel like what you're doing is the right thing. I don't know. It's not, of course, you find something you love, you never work a day in your life, but it lines up with my morals that I can't just stand and not help a person, stranger or otherwise. And so if I end up doing work that helps somebody get through something or make them better or get them to their dream, I find that extremely, extremely rewarding.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. I have a question that's going back to the beginning of our conversation, which is relating back to your experience with COVID. Nathan is asking, and he says we agree, feel free to give as much or as little detail as you like, but he says it's surprising to hear such a severe case from someone. Oh, it went away. Sorry, 1 second. I got another question. It's shocking, basically, and you mentioned this in our club. That an Olympian, someone you expect to be the healthiest person, and the healthiest, most fit person, to get such a severe case. And was there any explanation as to why your condition deteriorated so drastically? And then the second part of the question is, what treatment did you receive and how did it help?
So I guess I'll answer that kind of in reverse order. Recovery was surprisingly long and painful. Especially when the clots kicked in. I think that's the worst pain I've ever felt in my life, because just one day I woke up and it was just like a full body kind of like seizure and just this this racking pain where I'm like, is this what a heart attack feels like? There was just so many questions and fear going through my mind, and take as many painkillers as I could. It just barely took the edge off. So that was kind of, every day was left in this fear of like, well, what's tomorrow going to be like if today was like this? And this was a kind of a next surprise. Not being able to walk without, I would take like a couple steps in direction to the kitchen to get something, and I would have to like take a break. Like, that's how ridiculous that is. You come off being super fit, and all of a sudden, like 3 steps is like, then you can try again. So the treatment I received is used essentially in rheumatoid arthritis, from what I remember, tocilizumab or tocilizumab. And essentially all it does is completely suppress the immune system. Why my condition deteriorated so badly? At this point, I can't say anything definitively. Some of the conjecture in the hospital was that because I was so healthy, that my body just, over exaggerated the response. So not to say that I wasn't that sick, but the fact that because I was sick, they had so much to throw at it that act in and of itself would have killed me. Hence, I'm sure everyone's heard on the news that phrase, the cytokine storm. That's the only thing that really kills a person in a respiratory disease. Could be tuberculosis or whatever. And I guess within all that, with all the coughing I was having, it's just, you're just damaging your lungs over and over and over again. And kind of coughing up blood is also kind of a very scary experience at a young age. So genetic, random chaos, butterfly effect, somebody, I couldn't say, I still can't say. But I do hope that there'll be a clear genetic profile, because I'm trying to think ahead, and if there's something that lines up for why I got so bad, perhaps it will affect my kids. So if in the future there's another respiratory anything, I can just say, hey guys, you need to be very careful. Why? Because I have the correct code to get really, really messed up by this thing. Experience with the hospitalization. There was a lot of challenges. I'd say, like, there was moments where I was shocked at how, I guess, okay, I'll say one thing first. I understand why working at a hospital is desensitizing to the people that work there. But it's a scary feeling when you approach someone and you're truly afraid with how much distress you're in, the pain, the things you're experiencing. It's completely unusual. And to be met with, I'd say, almost like an apathy. It's jarring. And when you tell someone you're in extreme amounts of pain and they don't believe you, it makes you feel like are you all of a sudden, did you go soft, Alex? Can you not handle pain anymore? That was strange. But on the positive side of things, once I was in the COVID ward, some of the nursing staff, I remember, they were crying with me, and it wasn't like a show. Do you know what I mean? Like they felt the pain, the fear, the loss that was about to happen or not happen. The infectious disease team, they were just good human beings. That's all I can say. And they all wanted you to get better, and you definitely didn't feel alone, because obviously the hospital, I don't know what's changed, but basically you're just not allowed to see any friends or family, right? So then that's another thing where you just feel completely isolated. And during those times, I mean, I lost 30 pounds within like a 3 to 4 day period. So the only thing you see is your own reflection, and seeing your gaunt, pale, skinny self, you're like, are we gonna make it? Like, so having good people there to show empathy at the right time can be quite a bolstering piece.
That I have no response. That's just a wow. We're getting messages coming in, just saying like how inspiring you are, Alex, and your messages of just showing, telling people that you love them, and how we should value every day. You're really inspiring the people who are joining us today. I think a message that we can get from your experience is none of us are above this virus. Cool that I'm 30 years old and healthy, but you never know. We need to do what we can to keep ourselves and our families and our community members safe, because you just never know how it's going to hit you. And just on behalf of everyone here, I just want to say how glad we are that you've made such an incredible recovery to the point that you're back in Korea and coaching. It's really incredible and inspiring to hear your story, and you've done so much in your 31 years. I feel like we should have you back in a few decades and just see what else you've done, just to make all of us look bad.
Oh, stop.
Comparison. It is 9 o'clock though, or what, 10 o'clock there? You've got coaching to do. I want to thank you again on behalf of everyone here. We've got members from Beth David, Beth Tikva, Addis, Beth Emmett, and just community members at large. And thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us and inspiring all of us. I'm getting a lot of thank yous coming in here.
I guess I just wanted to make one point on the opposite side. Just like we can make really positive effects with small acts, it's kind of also staggering how quickly you can sow negativity. So I guess our actions truly matter, especially in these days. You can convince someone to get vaccinated or not, or to go to the gym or to not, or to smile or not. And you could probably pinpoint everything back to one person too, just like a good experience. So.
Amazing. If anyone else has any final questions or thoughts or thank yous, I will compile all these lovely thank yous into an email for Alex. I'm sure he'll love to see them because I'm getting them, a lot of them directly to me. But thank you everyone for joining us. Alex, thank you so much. You're up and say hi. And I'm getting applause here from other people as well. So thank you so much for joining us. Happy Sukkot, Alex.
Thanks, guys.
And shalom.
I'll do my part to spend the night out in the stars.
Exactly. Go enjoy nature.